Good morning. Welcome to the Celtic Way Morning Briefing Live. I'm Tony Haggerty at Haggerty10 on the X handle, and it's Tuesday, October the 3rd, and I'm joined today for the first time in ages by Aidan Macdonald at Aidan C. Macdonald. How are you, young Aidan? You well?
Yeah, I'm really good, Tony. Pleasure to be on with you today. How was your time off, mate? Did you enjoy it?
It was good. I was telling the people yesterday I met John Robertson. I was just too busy giving it a bit of that, you know what I mean? So, legend that he is. But yeah, good week off, so thank you very much. Before we do anything, guys, we always say to you, subscribe to the Celtic Way website and help support top quality football journalism, covering the club you love. And all you have to do, click a button, www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. Current deal we're on is still £4 for 4 months or $2.99 a month, whatever way you want to do that. It's up to yourselves, but there's all top quality content on there. There's the YouTube videos. There's the 5 Celtic moments of various people have done that. There's analysis and stats stuff from Alan Morrison, Duco James, big interviews from myself. There's stuff from Ryan McGinley as well, features, opinion pieces, you name it. There's even some stuff from Aidan, isn't there, Aidan? All stuff on there, news hits, all sorts of stuff. But it's we can't do it without you. We need you to help keep subscribing, and we appreciate it. We say that every time. But there's something there for everybody, and we hope to provide some top quality football journalism. That's the name of the game, isn't it, Aidan?
Yeah, it is indeed. As Tony says, there's sort of you're covered from all areas in terms of Celtic. So get yourself involved in that, guys, if you haven't already.
And just click that button, www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. Now, Aidan, we woke up this morning to some news involving an ex-Celt, and it's Tom Rogic, who has finally hung up his boots, and he took to Instagram and he put a very emotive message on Instagram. And for those of you who are not familiar with Instagram or want a flavour of what he said, this is what he said. He decided to retire. Tom Rogic said, "After careful consideration, I have made the decision to retire from professional football. I have always been rather private with things in my personal life, but I feel given the significance, I think it's important for people to understand why and how I have made my decision. Throughout the past 7 years, my wife and I have been on an immensely challenging journey with fertility issues. After years of trying and many failed rounds of IVF, my wife and I were fortunate enough to welcome the birth of our daughter in 2021. I have loved every minute of being a dad and consider it my greatest achievement in life. After experiencing some more struggles and heartache with fertility treatment, we have recently received the amusing news that our family is growing and we will be expecting twins in 2024. Given our past and how hard we have fought for this, along with the challenges that will come with having twins and a 2-year-old, now seems at the right time to give my focus and attention to what is the most important thing in my life, my family. After being away for so many years, my family and I have now returned home to Australia as we look ahead to next year and the arrival of our new family members. I feel very lucky to have had a career where I spent the majority of my time playing at Celtic Football Club, one of the biggest clubs in the world, playing European football, winning many trophies, and playing in front of 60,000 fans each week. I have also been lucky enough to represent my country with the Socceroos on over 50 occasions and experience playing in major international tournaments. As a young boy growing up in Australia, I couldn't have imagined experiencing all I was able to do in football. I'd like to thank all of my teammates for everything over the past 12 years. It's been a special journey, which I'll look back on with fond memories. I feel very lucky to have formed some wonderful friendships through football and experienced so many special moments together. I would also like to thank Peter Lawwell and Dermot Desmond. Without their help, all of this would not have been possible. Through Peter and Dermot, I was put in direct contact with one of the world's leading medical experts, which eventually led to my wife and I being placed at the clinic that would give us the best possible chance to start a family. I will be forever grateful. To the managers who supported and guided me through some tough times, I'd like to say a big thank you to Brendan Rodgers, Neil Lennon, John Kennedy, and Ange Postecoglou. Indeed, I would like to thank everyone in football who has given me such great opportunity throughout my career to be part of the game I love. And finally, I want to thank all the fans who have given me so much support. You have been everything to me. I'm looking forward to what comes next and can't wait to see what the future has in store for us. Tom Rogic. there you go. I think everybody in the Celtic family wishes Tom Rogic well, Aidan, and everybody will have their own special memories of Tom Rogic. But you're young enough to remember Tom Rogic, which is great. I would just like to kick off and ask you your own special memories of Tom Rogic.
Well, just before we go into that, obviously massive respect to Tom Rogic for opening up on that. I'm sure it was a really difficult thing to be going through, and delighted that it's worked out for him and his family overall, and phenomenal player. Just seems like a great guy as well. I mean, he didn't do a lot of interviews, Tony, but when you seen him speaking, he always came across really well, which says a lot. Nobody ever seems to have a bad word to say about him. In terms of my favourite memories of Tom Rogic, it's a long list. There's a lot. I think one of the ones that really springs to mind is the goal against Kilmarnock for under Ronnie Dyer. Celtic were also under quite a bit of pressure. I think they hadn't long been knocked out the cup by Rangers. I think Ronnie Dyer maybe announced he was leaving at that stage. And if they didn't win that game, it was going to be going right down at the wire with Aberdeen for the league, which obviously never should have been at that stage, particularly given how big the sort of budgets were, budget difference between the two teams. Rogic just stepped up in a high-pressure game on that pitch that Celtic had struggled on so many times, cut in and scored a brilliant goal. It was phenomenal in what was a overall pretty difficult season for Celtic, which we don't need to go into, but he scored a great goal that day. And what a finish it was, and just what a player, Tony. The other one, I'm sure you're probably going to mention it as well, but obviously the goal against Aberdeen for the treble, that is the most obvious one, isn't it? Just what a moment. Comes on as a sub that day, obviously, as well, which was a brilliant bit of tactical nuance from Brendan Rodgers to bring on Rogic. Picks up the ball just past the halfway line, I think it was, beats 2-3 players and then scores in the most dramatic way to end what was a magical season. So, yeah, those are probably my two Tom Rogic moments, Tony, but you could spend, 3-4 hours talking about individual things that Rogic did for Celtic because there was so many.
I wrote a chapter in my book called The Invincibles, basically, and it was all about Tom Rogic's goal, and I'll put it up for your delectation on the website later. If you've read the book, you'll know the chapter I'm talking about, because it involves my brother and my wedding as well. So, yeah, so, excuse me, it's pretty emotional as well. So, yeah, I just think of Tom Rogic in that moment, and it was the year I get married et al, and it'll all become clear when the chapter appears on the website. So I'll save that for later. But yeah, I just think whenever you think of Tom Rogic, he was a scorer of wonderful goals, wasn't he? Great goals for Celtic, and kind of lifted them out in the ordinary certain moments. Now you can compile a DVD, can't you, of Tom Rogic's greatest goals? I used to always say you can compile a DVD of his greatest goals and not his greatest games. That was just my own personal view of that, but I think everybody has nothing but wonderful memories of Tom Rogic, and he just seemed to have an uncanny knack of producing a special goal when you need it most. Cup finals, goals against Rangers. You mentioned the goal against Kilmarnock, which was an absolute belter, wasn't it? But he'll be forever carved in the hearts and minds of the Celtic faithful for that goal at Hampden and the celebrations that followed. It's only now you kind of realise the enormity of that achievement, Aidan, to go a whole season unbeaten. And 43 games Celtic played that season, and they drew 4 matches. Incredible, absolutely incredible stuff. And to top it off with a last-minute goal from Tom Rogic. And they're still doing it, Aidan. They're still scoring injury time winners. It's a trait, as the manager said, that's kind of built into Celtic's DNA. And Tom Rogic has scored arguably the most famous last-minute winner in Celtic's recent history, hasn't he? And he'll always have that. Celtic will always have the invincible moment with Tom Rogic, and I think as you said there as well, he'll let you into. I'll give you an insight into the kind of heartache that him and his wife have had trying to conceive a family. So I think that's the most wonderful thing in the world, that he now has a daughter and he has twins to look forward to. And he said himself he was a big family man. I'm a big family man myself, and so are you. So you know how much that means to him. And it's not a decision he will have taken lightly, but I think rest assured he'll be forever remembered in the hearts and the minds of the Celtic fans, won't he?
Absolutely, Tony. And yeah, it's probably somebody over time that will get appreciated even more. He was just what a player, and some of the moments he had, even more recently, that goal against Rangers at Ibrox, not last season but the season before.
Yep.
Ange Postecoglou's first campaign to equalise that day was so important, and it was really like I think it was the two sort of senior players in the team stepped up. McGregor went on a brilliant run, kind of hit the ball, then broke to Rogic in the box, and he calmly stroke in, and that would show you that even though he maybe hadn't been performing the best before that season, Ange came in, he still had quality in there. So yeah, so many great moments, and just what a player overall, Tony. And I think it is hard to pick out standout games. I think I've seen somebody mention it in the comments. I thought the 3-3 game against Man City, he played really well that night. Just in terms of picking out a game that he maybe didn't score, but he was also phenomenal in. He was very much a big game player, Tony, wasn't he? I don't think you'll get a bigger, sort of more definitive definition of a big game player than over recent years than Tom Rogic. Yeah, there could be games that he would maybe dip in and out, but the massive occasions against Rangers, against Europe, the goals he scored, particularly during those first 3 trebles out of the quadruple treble, the goals he was scoring regularly at Hampden as well, it was phenomenal. And you're talking about a compilation of his goals overall. You could do a compilation of his goals against Rangers as well because he scored so many. I think another good game I thought he played well in was, I think it was Brendan Rodgers' last derby at Parkhead before he left. And in his first spell, when he scored that goal, he basically ran from the halfway line. I think he played a 1-2 header. Celtic beat Rangers 1-0. Wasn't long after Steven Gerrard came in. I think that was another really brilliant individual performance from him. So, yeah. So I know it was an enchantment scored in that game, I should say, but Rogic played it well. But what a player, Tony! What a
player! That goal you said at Ibrox, the one he just kind of stroked home casually, nonchalantly, as if it was, he did it all the time. I think everybody was screaming at him to smash it, and he knew what he was doing, just a wee dink. That's it, it's in the net, no problem at all. And the celebration that followed, and I've always remembered that Callum McGregor got everybody, because I think Celtic were really disappointed the way they started that game, because they went 1 down in 3 minutes to Aaron Ramsey's goal, and it was awful, as if Tom Rogic was saying, right, that's it, normal services were doing, do you want to start playing now? Because there was no mad celebration. The only kind of celebration, he liked doing the cup deer, didn't he? Did it at Ibrox, I think, when he bent that one in, which was a cracker, as you mentioned as well, in the 3-2 game when Rodgers was there the first time. The one Edward got the winner. But as you say, it's a kind of treasure trove of golden goal memories from Tom Rogic, isn't it? It's pick a goal, any goal. There was also a wonderful goal at Pittodrie, Aidan and a half volley, and Celtic won 1-0. And honest to God, I still don't know how he put it in. From the trajectory that he got, a sumptuous goal, absolute thing of beauty. You'll remember that. You'll remember the 4-3 Motherwell game when he bent that one in as well. Cue Bedlam. He just had that uncanny knack of cueing absolute bedlam whenever he scored. And I think the Celtic supporters enjoyed watching him, didn't they? He was a player that they enjoyed watching. And I think, as you say, the memories that he's given us, the Celtic fans and the faithful, they'll burn brightly for a long, long time, forever, obviously. But he'll certainly become one of those players who you'll look back and might take on some mystical reverence in years to come, even as they all do. And he'll be up there with the best of them. But I guess that's subjective, isn't it? But I'm just going to take some comments because lots of people wishing him all the best. So Jerry Smith, great player for Celtic. All the best for the future, Tom, for you and your family. God bless Tom and his family, says Dominic. And Chilpill, good luck, Tom. Sean Stout, all the best of us, divorce. Some important goals for Celtic over the years, indeed. And Dalhallow LP has to be the Twinkle Toes goal in a cup final. Yeah, I mean, everybody just loves that, didn't they? Big Tom had magic feet, said Chilpill. David Gillespie, hugely talented player. Wish him all the best. And Sean Bush says that. Love Tom, all the best to him and his family. Peak McGee, what a statement. Fantastic news about Tom's family. Family comes first before everything else. Hats off to Peter Law and Dermot Desmond for their part in Tom and his wife's amazing journey. Yeah, I thought that was a wonderful insight, wasn't it? That Peter Lawwell and Dermot Desmond got him access to top medical professional, and he was able to, through IVF, him and his wife were able to conceive a family. So these are the things that you don't know about that people do at the club, like Peter Lawwell and Dermot Desmond. And I thought that was big up to Tom for sharing that, because a lot of people don't want that known, and he's maybe had to ask their permission if he could share that, and he's decided to do it. So, they talk about it, and it isn't a cliche, is it, Aidan? It is a Celtic family, isn't it? It really does. That brings it home. Moments like that, and when players tell you stuff like that.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Tony. Really brave of him to open up and discuss that, and fair play to him and his family. Absolutely delighted that it seems to have overall worked out for him. I imagine he's obviously very happy about that as well. The fact him and his wife are now expecting twins. Yeah, I'm sure he's going to be buzzing about that. So, yeah, fair play to Tom Rogic for opening up on that, because I'm sure that can't have been easy. But yeah, Tony, it was nice. He was obviously mentioning Peter Wall and Dermot Desmond there, and I know people all have their opinions on the way they've been involved in the club and that over years, and that's fine. But that's maybe part of the human side. Stories like that you wouldn't always hear. And
yeah,
the fact he's mentioned that, it's clearly very important to him. Made a real difference to their lives. So yeah, no, that was a nice story, Tony. Absolutely, it was great to hear that. I think when we're discussing Rogic, I don't want to pivot too much. I mean, it's still on the topic of Tom Rogic, but I think it is fair to touch on that there was a few seasons maybe after Brendan Rodgers left, that he wasn't really involved. There was injuries, whether or not it was combined with travel in Australia, and it wasn't always working. And there was rumours a couple of times that he was going to leave the club by the time that Ange Postecoglou came in. But then when he came in that sort of season, the rebirth for Tom Rogic was phenomenal,
yes,
Tony. Really, like it did feel like he just sort of plucked Tom Rogic from 17, 18, 18, 19 and just brought him back to the future, because it was just phenomenal the way he given he'd played so little football really for Celtic or Australia for, it was at least 2 or 3 seasons I think, and then came in and there was all that thing about his fitness and all that, but I don't think he ever played so many games. Regularly putting in 90 minutes or 70, 80 minutes. He was the main man in a lot of games. I'm sure somebody like Matt O'Reilly coming in at the start and having 6 months being able to sort of work with a player like Tom Rogic must have been brilliant for his development as well. Hatate, all these guys. He was really one of the most experienced players and one of the biggest contributors to that first league under Ange in a season where Celtic were kind of written off at the start. And Rogic was part of that, I'm sure. I was writing him off at the time as well, because he contributed so little for the previous couple of seasons. And then he came in, or he was involved in that campaign, and he was absolutely phenomenal. The goal up at Dundee United when he beats about 4 or 5 players.
Yes.
Throws it in, and then Postecoglou almost uses his hands on his head. Like, how's he managed to do that? It was brilliant. And that was obviously his last season. Got that really nice moment with him and Beaton walking out of the league. And that was a brilliant end to his Celtic career, because if he had left, the previous season or the season before that, it would have been a bit flat. But he got the sort of ending he deserved, which doesn't always happen for a lot of players or managers, does it? He was able to get that really nice send-off, and nobody deserves it more, Tony, because in the biggest moments for Celtic over the last sort of 7, 8, 9, 10 years, Rodric's been there the majority of the time.
And I think it showed you the measure of his kind of rebirth under Ange, that people are actually saying, why is he going now? They were wanting him to stay on another season, weren't they? I guess his personal statement maybe has a lot to explain why he left Celtic when he did. But lots of people were saying he should stay on for another year, and you'll never know what would have happened had he done that. But he clearly made up his mind that, he wanted to call an end to his Celtic chapter then. But as you say, the day that him and Beaton both left the club or announced that would be their last game, I don't think there was a dry eye in the house, was there? Everybody was... It kind of crept up on you really unexpected, didn't it? Because I don't think a lot of Celtic supporters expected to be so emotional about both of those players going, but Tom Rogic especially. And there was a nice moment when him and Ange kind of embraced, and I think the emotion of it all got to Rogic too, didn't it?
Yeah, when he went off in that game against Motherwell, another game that he actually played quite well in, his last game. And also that was the stage he was playing well all the time, so it's probably not a surprise. But yeah, he did seem quite upset when he was going off. But overall, it was a nice moment. And I think the fact that it was Ange as well, and Ange spoken about how he loved coaching Rogic Australian national team, and you can't help but think if it was any other manager that had came into Celtic in that 21-22 season, Rogic might have moved on. But Ange obviously convinced him to stay at least for another year, got the best out of him, and yeah, it was phenomenal. And yeah, it was sad when he left, Tony. Obviously, I think he did have another year on his deal, but it's all became clear now why he was obviously moving on, and then longer term probably wanting to move. I know he was at West Brom last year, but longer term wanting to move back home. I would be guessing. So yeah, it was a brilliant sort of Celtic career by Tom Rogic, and probably one of the players that had the most fitting endings as well. Which no matter how good somebody's career is, you can't always say that. So that's another thing that's going for him. One of the many things going for him.
Patrick McLaughlin, never forget the flash of lightning at Hampden as Rogic scored that one on the cup final. Nobody will forget that, will they? And Sean Bush comes in. Too many class goals, but Craig Gordon on his knees that day as well. That's a brilliant photo as well, isn't it? Pete McGee, always leaving wanting more, so appropriate in relation to Big Tom Rogic. Yeah, I mean, everybody is just full of praise for him. He was a baller, team-wise, and the individuality. Something original about Tom Rogic. Arsenal FC says, don't know Celtic that much, but respect for a club legend. That's very kind, Arsenal FC. Appreciate that. Yeah. Sean, please, can we move on? You two have got me in tears. Well, we will move on if you want to move on, but we just thought we'd get everybody's thoughts on Tom Rogic retiring. He's not just any old player retiring. He's a man that's given Celtic so many happy and great memories, and I think the faithful are grateful for that, aren't they, Aidan? More than anything, more than anything. He went out in a high with the adoration of the fans, says Sons of Scotland 67. He totally did. And you can't ask, as you say, he got the fit and send off that his Celtic career probably deserved. And I don't think you can, and not every player can say that, but Tom Rogic most certainly did.
Absolutely. It probably couldn't have ended any better, really, for Celtic. I mean, getting that league, which is, I think, for a lot of people, is probably one of the most exciting league seasons and maybe one of the most sort of satisfying at the end. Also, when Celtic winning all those leagues in a row, it was brilliant, of course. I'm not going to dispute that, but given the circumstances when Ange came in that year and everything around the club, players like Rogic were probably put in the category of you need to get them moved on because we just need, a clean slate across the board. But won't be surprised that Postecoglou knew better. I think that's fair to say. Keeping Rogic on was a stroke of genius because he was phenomenal that year. And yeah, one of my favourite ever league seasons, Tony, I've got to say. Just, it was so competitive. It went near enough right to the wire. I think Celtic won it with second last game of the season, was it? The draw up at Tannadice. So yeah, it was phenomenal, and Rogic played a vital part in that. He played so many games, big goals all the time. So yeah, it was a really great end to his career, and I think it was very fitting that was the last sort of season that he had, and I'm glad he got it because nobody really deserved it more over a recent time. In terms of he's been at the club for so long, and I know there's other players obviously that had been there for a while, but like McGregor that season in Forest, but they came through the academy. He wasn't coming through the academy. He did join as a young player, but he obviously came from Australia, so yeah, he deserved that. Deserved that ending, Tony, and I'm just glad that he got it now, particularly that he's retired.
Not only his goals, but I forgot this. Steve McGrory said he loved Tom's top of the pile comment to the Sky reporter after the Motherwell game 2 seasons ago. Yeah, I've just remembered that morning. Steve, how you doing? I remember he said that he was. I have to say, he was a difficult customer to interview because he never gave anything away. He was the most non-demonstrative Australian you've ever came across in your life. Charming, but just didn't say too much. And
was that before Aaron Moy?
I tell you what, it's a dead heat, that one, Aidan. They're cut from the same Socceroos cloth. They could be separated at birth, Aaron Moy and Tom Rogic. But hey, guys are like that. It doesn't matter. It's the old cliche, isn't it? They did their talking on the park, both of those players. So that's fine by me. So yeah, Tom Rogic was, whenever he came in, you were kind of like, oh no, I'm going to have to work hard here because it's just the way he was, But hey, each to their own. That's allowed. And yeah, he was just he was always courteous, I'll give him that. He was a nice fella, but didn't give too much away, which for journalists isn't the best, Aidan. Want people to open up and speak, but hey, that's the way it is now. But as Tom Rogic said, he's looking forward to. We can't see what the future has in store for him. All I can say is we wish him and his family that's to come in 2024, twins, him and his wife, all the best. And thank you, Tom Rogic, for your service. Thank you for your goals. And thank you for the invincible strike, Aidan.
Indeed, yep. I can't say thanks to Tom Rogic enough, to be honest, giving me some of my best Celtic moments, really, overall. Clinched, of course, by that winner in the Invincible treble final. Still my favourite game I've ever been to. So, yeah, Tom Rogic, what a player, and all the best in retirement.
Now, there's a small matter of association football in the Champions League Group E tomorrow night, Aidan. Celtic take on Lazio, hoping to throw the group wide open by beating the Serie A side. Maurizio Sarri's been complaining about his teams get injuries and all that kind of stuff, but I never read into anything like that, Aidan. It's all codology and psychology, all that before a big game. It's massive for Celtic. Can the feel-good factor continue? Can they beat Lazio tomorrow night and get themselves back in it?
I think they can, Tony. Definitely, I feel a lot better about this game than I did going into the Feyenoord game. I feel they've kind of Celtic have hit their stride now. I know it was a late winner against Motherwell, but I always felt they were involved in the game and they had a chance. And that's the sort of, you need that feeling and that confidence that the squad, particularly in the Champions League, when you need to carry a bit of luck. It's going to be a difficult game. I know people might debate, Lazio as good as well, and Celtic played them a few years ago. At that point, I think they were top of Serie A, even though they didn't win the league that year. But they are still going to be a good team, Tony. They beat Napoli away recently in the last few weeks, who won the league at an absolute canter last year. So that's no easy feat. Sarri is a top manager. He's also won the Europa League with Chelsea. I think he's a wee bit underrated as a coach overall, to be honest, because he's maybe not had the glittering career with loads and loads of trophies, but I'm sure he'll be very good tactically, and Brendan Rodgers will like test himself against him, no doubt. It's a massive game, Tony. I think for me, it is a must-win, really, whether or not you think Celtic are going to be able to reach the next round of the Champions League or get that Europa League spot. I think Celtic need to win their home games. I know it's only 2 games in, so that might come across as a wee bit dramatic, saying must-win now. I don't think I would say it was a must-win if they'd maybe got a point in Feyenoord, but the fact you lost that game, and Lazio are the top 3 team, I think you need to be picking up a win here. And, we don't need to go into the stats too much, but Celtic haven't won a home Champions League group stage game since 2013. 10 years, Tony. It seems like a good time to sort of break that duck, I would say.
Did say the title of the briefing yesterday was time to scratch the 10-year itch, isn't it? You know what I mean? So I'm like you. I think it falls into a must-win category. I've said before, the home games are going to be crucial for Celtic if they do anything in this group, and you throw your weight behind all the home games, certainly, and they have to have a rip at it and have a go at it. And don't think Lazio are the force that they once were. And Pete McGee comes in and he says there's more chance of Celtic beating themselves than Lazio beating Celtic. Celtic have the squad capable of taking 3 points, just need to cut out the howlers. I would agree with that. And Sons of Scotland comes in and says, I honestly think Lazio are there for the taking, especially if Celtic get an early goal. I think that could be crucial too. The fans are going to be crucial as well, but Champions League night, the fans always get behind Celtic. So it is a game, Andrew Galea says, a game that Celtic can win. Totally agree with that. Robert Gibson a bit more pessimistic. Celtic are a pot 4 team, and unfortunately that's how it will turn out. Fair enough, Robert. You're entitled to your opinion. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. But we'll see what happens in the fullness of time. But yeah, can't wait, Aidan. Love the Champions League. No better stage than to go and strut your stuff. Go and claim a scalp. Don't need to look too far back in recent history, especially with Lazio. Beat them home and away in the Europa League. Time for another Julienne and then Sham to emerge, isn't it? Although I prefer it wasn't in the last minute because leaving it a bit late with those kind of stuff. But hey, if that's the way it's to be, that's the way it's to be, Aidan. But I will take a win of any sort just to get Celtic back in amongst the mix in Group E.
Yeah, one of any sort, absolutely, Tony. And I think even though there's not really any of the players involved that were last involved when Celtic won the game against, I think it was Ajax in 2013. I think Forest is the only one, as far as I'm aware. It's good to just get that duck off your back because it is too long. I know there's been times, I think there was a 5-year period they weren't in the competition during that time, but it's not really a start you want to be able to go back to next season or later on in the campaign. So getting the win is massive for psychological overall, giving Celtic confidence that they can win games in the Champions League is also really important ahead of setting up the group. Really, it would tee up the group nicely. I mean, even if Atletico Madrid do beat Feyenoord, which I would predict will probably happen given it's in Spain, Celtic would then be in third. Feyenoord would only have one. Celtic would be in second, sorry, because Atletico Madrid would have 4, Celtic would have 3. Then the other 2 would have a point if Celtic do win the game. So that would be a real positive, and that would tee things up nicely, given that you've got another home game coming up against not Real Madrid, sorry, Atletico Madrid after that. So yeah, it would be ideal to win that, Tony, and I think it does fall into the must-win category, despite it being so early in the group, just because of the nature of the result last time. I think it does fall into the must-win category. So fingers crossed.
Well, given that myself and Ryan will be on the pre-match and post-match, I'll go for your prediction just now, then, Aidan. I'll hold off firing mine until tomorrow, but on you go. If you're willing to give us a prediction, carry on.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really tight, Tony. I understand there's all this stuff coming out about Lazio, kind of follow-ups behind the scenes, injuries. I feel like that's the case before every European game a Scottish club plays, to be honest, and it never usually turns out to be the case. But I'll go for 2-1 Celtic, Tony.
2-1 Celtic.
Really, really tight. I don't see, I don't think it'll be the most riveting performance you've ever seen. Maybe a sort of good, sort of gritty European performance, which is probably what you need when you're playing a team like this. So 2-1 I'll go for, similar to the last time Celtic played them at Parkhead. But as you say, hopefully not a goal in the last minute.
Brown Warrior agrees with you. 2-1 to the good guys. David Gillespie, he's agreeing with you, Aidan. So that seems to be the shout. Guys, it's a short and sweet one today. Aidan's got people to see and places to go and things to do. As have we all. I'm trying to fix my laptop as we speak as well. So there you have it. Gary Thompson 2-1. He's saying 2-0, says Spacey. Sons of Scotland says 2-0. Lots of people saying 2-1 or 2-0. There you go, Aidan. But they're all agreeing with you that Celtic can win this game. You've labelled it a must-win game. I think it's a must-win game too. It'll all come out in the wash tomorrow night. Can't wait for that Champions League Group E match day 2. Celtic versus Lazio. Bring it on, Aidan. Now, guys, just as I say, do it at the start and we do it at the end. Just draw your attention to the ticker tape. Help ourselves subscribe to the Celtic Way and support top quality football journalism covering the club you love. All for the click of a button, guys. www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. £4 for 4 months of unlimited access to everything we write on the web, or $2.99 a month, whatever way you want to subscribe. We appreciate it. We can't do it without you. It helps us produce these videos, free content. And if you like that, subscribe to the YouTube channel as well, but also subscribe to the website on www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. All that left for me to say is, Aidan, thank you very much for your contribution today. Enjoyed that immensely. It's not often we do it now because you're here, there and everywhere, but always enjoy catching up with you, sir.
Thanks, Tony. Always a pleasure.
And thank you guys for joining us. Myself and Ryan will be back tomorrow, pre-match, post-match, you name it, in the morning. We'll do it all ahead of Celtic Lazio. Can't wait for that. Take care and we'll see you soon. All the best.